In a world where perception is everything, where the way you are seen can define or limit your path, there is an invisible line that separates those who are seen as just another option from those who are considered a category apart. The difference is not in money, brands, or even social status. It is something much deeper: the energy you project, the way you speak, how you walk, how you conduct yourself, and above all, how you see yourself. Today, we begin a series of 4 episodes where you will discover how to stop being an alternative and become a true standard of excellence, distinction, and luxury. Episode 1. Perception is everything. Since childhood, we have been conditioned to seek approval. We are taught to fit in, not to stand out too much, to ask permission to shine. And although we are told humility is a virtue, in many cases, what we really learn is to undervalue ourselves. But those who truly stand out don't beg for attention. They attract it effortlessly because they have worked on a quality that changes everything: their presence. Carl Jung, author and pioneer in personal development, understood this better than anyone else. Everything starts from within. It's not about creating an artificial facade, but building a solid mindset that projects your true value to the world. Do you want to be perceived as a luxury? Then you must start with key number 1. Key 1. Your value is non-negotiable. Imagine a diamond. It is not discounted for those who cannot afford it. A haute couture designer does not lower the price of their art because someone can't pay for it. Why should you? Every time you accept less than you deserve, you send a silent message to the world: I'm not worth as much as I appear. It's not about being arrogant, it's about clarity. Clarity to say no to relationships that don't nourish you. Clarity to walk away from environments that minimize you. Clarity to protect your dignity. Many get stuck in mediocre situations out of fear of losing something, but the true cost is losing themselves. Key 2. Your image speaks before you do. People see you before they hear you, and what you project without saying a single word can open or close doors in seconds. We are not talking about conventional beauty. We mean presence: how you walk, how you stand, how your body expresses your inner world. You don't need to wear designer clothes. You need coherence. Taking care of your personal presentation is a silent declaration that you respect yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. A person who walks into a room and radiates confidence without saying a word has already won half the battle. Their posture, their gaze, their movements, everything communicates, everything impacts. Key 3. Your words define your impact. The quality of what you say and how you say it is directly proportional to the respect you inspire. People with magnetic presence don't talk just to fill silence or use empty words. Every word counts, every pause has intention, every sentence is precise. There is silent power in knowing when to stay quiet, while everyone else shouts, in knowing when to wait for the right moment to speak. When you do, your message is engraved in the minds of those who listen. You don't need to impress with what you say. You need to be memorable for how you say it. Key 4. Your energy is your signature. You can dress elegantly and have a polished speech, but if your energy doesn't match, everything collapses. Energy cannot be faked. It's felt. And this is where many fail. They focus on the external but neglect the internal. They treat themselves badly, criticize themselves mercilessly, sabotage themselves. How do you expect the world to see you as a luxury if you don't see yourself that way? Energy is built in intimacy. How you talk to yourself when no one sees, how you manage your thoughts, the affirmations you choose to feed. Carl Jung spoke about the power of affirmations, and he was right. What you constantly repeat in your mind becomes your identity, and your identity defines your presence. Key 5. Master your emotions, master your presence. Think for a moment about anyone who inspires your respect. What do they have in common? Serenity. They don't react with desperation. They don't lose control in the face of provocation. They don't get upset by what happens around them. Most people live like leaves in the wind. If they receive criticism, they collapse. If they are ignored, they despair. If something doesn't go as expected, they lose control. This emotional dependence makes them predictable, vulnerable, and dispensable. But those who master their emotions become rocks in the middle of chaos. They inspire respect without demanding it. They project power without raising their voice. How is this achieved? Through training. It's not about repressing emotions, but managing them, observing, breathing before reacting, choosing to respond rather than react. This is a skill you cultivate, and it immediately sets you apart. An emotionally stable person is perceived as valuable because they convey that nothing external can control their inner world. This is a silent but powerful form of authority. Key 6. Value your time as your most precious asset. Nothing screams value louder than selectivity in how you use your time, with whom you share it, and where you choose to be. The most valuable objects aren't available to everyone, and the same goes for people who respect themselves. When someone is always available, says yes to everything, and strives to fit in, they transmit desperation. But when someone is selective and reserved, when they guard their energy like a treasure, the world perceives them as scarce, and that is why they are valuable. This is not about arrogance or being inaccessible, it's about clarity in your priorities and knowing your time cannot be recovered. What is scarce has value. If you give yourself to everyone, your presence loses weight. But if you become someone whose attention is earned and not bought or begged, for then your mere company already carries implicit value. Key 7. Mystery as a magnetism strategy. We live in a time where overexposure is the norm. Everyone shares their lives excessively, and what is seen too much loses value. That's why those who know how to dose what they show, who wisely manage the art of silence and mystery, automatically become magnetic. The most interesting people are not those who tell everything, but those who leave space for curiosity, who don't explain every move, who don't justify every decision. They understand that mystery generates attraction. Mystery isn't about playing hard to get, it's about keeping something for yourself, not giving everything immediately, letting others discover you little by little. That is a strategy that elevates your value without you having to say a single word. Key 8. Impact without asking for permission. Many people make the mistake of wanting to impress. They talk too much, brag, constantly seek recognition. But that doesn't generate admiration, it generates rejection. Because those who truly have value don't shout it, they project it. Luxury doesn't promote itself, luxury simply is. And you, when you develop a solid presence, real quality in what you do, don't need to convince anyone. Respect comes naturally, recognition becomes a consequence. You don't need to say you are valuable, you just need to act with constant excellence. Because when your standard is high, your presence becomes silent authority. Don't seek attention. Do something so exceptional that the world can't ignore it. Key 9. Your self-perception defines your reality. You can dress elegantly, speak confidently, master your emotions, but if deep down you don't believe in your own value, none of it will hold. What you believe about yourself determines how you behave, and your behavior shapes how others see you. If you see yourself as an option, you will act like one, and the world will respond accordingly. But if inside you there is the conviction that you are valuable, unique, worthy of respect, then you won't have to say it, you will radiate it. The most influential people don't need to convince anyone, because what they project comes from inner certainty. It's not a pose, it's not a superficial strategy, it's a lived truth. This is the foundation of everything. If you don't see yourself as a luxury, the world won't either. Mastery of non-verbal expression. While most focus on what they say, those who truly master high-value perception understand that the most powerful is what is not said. Body language, tone of voice, gaze, pausial communicates. A person with upright posture, controlled movements, calm breathing, and steady gaze transmits a confidence that doesn't need words. They don't need to raise their voice or hurry to be heard. On the other hand, someone who moves restlessly, speaks anxiously, or avoids eye contact generates a perception of insecurity. Even if they say the right words, their body gives them away. Non-verbal communication is a silent but powerful tool, and mastering it is essential for your presence to speak even before you open your mouth. Emotional independence. You don't need others to validate your worth. Many people live based on how others treat them. If they receive attention, they feel good. If ignored, they feel bad. If approved, they shine. If criticized, they dim. This emotional dependence makes them vulnerable, and when you depend on the outside to feel complete, your perceived value decreases. But those who are perceived as a luxury don't need, don't seek, don't beg. They have a solid relationship with themselves, and it shows. They radiate emotional self-sufficiency. They are fine with or without external validation. And this detachment creates magnetism. Because those who don't depend generate a strong presence that inspires respect. Respect that is imposed without demanding it. Some believe that to be respected, they must impose authority, raise their voice, mark territory, demand recognition. But true authority doesn't shout, push, or need to proclaim itself. It simply is. People who generate real respect don't do it with words. They do it with boundaries, their way of being, how they conduct themselves. They tolerate no less than they deserve, and if someone tries, they walk away without drama. Their mere presence sends a clear message. Here are standards, and I don't lower them for anyone. That stance generates immediate respect, and you don't need to say it. Living it is enough. Solid identity. You don't seek to fit in. You are unshakable. In a world where most adapt their personality to fit in, please, and be accepted, those who truly stand out have built a non-negotiable identity. They don't follow trends. They don't change their essence to be accepted. They don't want to please everyone because they know that implies losing themselves. The most memorable figures weren't the nicest or the most accommodating, they were the most authentic, firm, and coherent. A solid identity generates a magnetic field because coherence inspires trust. And in a changing world, coherence is gold. Guard your attention. Where you focus, you grow. Another key aspect of how you are perceived is how you manage your focus. Many people get worn out worrying about what others think, reacting to every provocation, engaging in useless conversations. But those perceived as elevated presence are not everywhere nor with everyone. They don't have opinions on everything. They don't respond to everything. They choose their battles, select their focus. This is not indifference, it's intelligence. Because your attention is limited, and where you direct it, you create impact. Instead of seeking attention, create value. Instead of talking a lot, speak with intention. And that is one of the most powerful keys to being seen as unforgettable. Continuous evolution. What is not renewed dies. Many people reach a certain level and stop. They feel comfortable and stagnant. But in a world that never stops moving, Those who don't evolve disappear. What today is perceived as extraordinary tomorrow can be irrelevant. And those who truly sustain a perception of high value don't do it because of what they were, but because of their constant commitment to growth. They keep learning, challenging themselves, reinventing. They don't cling to their past. They ask themselves all the time, how can I raise my level even more? They don't do it out of fear of losing relevance. They do it because they understand evolution is part of their identity. Because true luxury is not in what is shown, but in what is built every day. Radical selectivity. Who deserves your energy? Another quality that differentiates those perceived as unique is their capacity to be radically selective. Who do they talk to? What do they pay attention to? What conversations do they feed? In a noisy world, their silence weighs. In a world of constant availability, their scarcity attracts. They're not everywhere. Don't mingle with just anyone, and don't feel guilty for having standards. Selectivity is a form of self-love. And when you are selective, you not only protect your energy, you elevate it. When you understand that your time and presence are a privilege, you don't give yourself to what doesn't deserve it. You don't strive to fit in mediocre environments. You don't dilute your essence to please. Control of your own destiny. Don't wait, create. Those seen as a luxury don't wait for their environment to recognize them. They don't complain about opportunities that don't come. They don't wait for the world to align with their desires. They take control, create their own opportunities. They decide how, when, and where. They don't react, they respond. They don't depend on circumstances, they shape them. This attitude sends a very clear message: leadership. And it's not about leading others, it's about leading yourself. Because the respect you inspire outside is proportional to the mastery you have over your life. Silent impact. Leave a mark without trying. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to prove yourself to be respected. You don't need to impress to be remembered. Your impact isn't in the volume of your words, but in the quality of your presence, in how you make others feel, in the energy you leave in a conversation, in the clarity of your boundaries, in the silence that commands respect. Some people barely enter a room and something changes. They say nothing, but everyone notices. That is the energy that leaves a mark, that needs no introduction, that is never forgotten. Emotional detachment. You don't need others to shine. There is a huge difference between wanting to share your life and needing someone to complete it. Those perceived as exclusive don't seek to fill voids. They don't cling or negotiate their essence for attention. They surround themselves with others by choice, not necessity. And when someone enters their world, they understand that being there is a privilege, not a right. This emotional self-sufficiency is not coldness, it's clarity. It's inner strength. It's a silent declaration: I am complete. You are not the center of my value. You are a complement if you are aligned. Inspire without forcing. Elevate others with your presence. Truly powerful people don't crush others. They don't need to minimize others to stand out. On the contrary, their mere presence elevates the level of everything around them. They don't compete or compare. They don't need to prove superiority because they are on a level where their energy speaks for itself. And that generates admiration. Because in a world full of ego and showmanship, those who inspire effortlessly are unforgettable. Build legacy, not approval. While some live seeking likes, attention, or instant validation, those with a luxury perception work long-term. They don't seek immediate recognition, they build legacy. They know their energy, vision, and way of acting go far beyond a single interaction. Every step they take is aligned with something bigger, a standard they don't negotiate, an essence they don't dilute, a personal brand that doesn't depend on applause. And that makes them a phenomenon that needs no explanation. You are already the standard. This series wasn't about turning you into something you're not. It was about reconnecting with what is already inside you, but maybe you had forgotten or silenced. You are already a luxury. You are already a presence that cannot be ignored. You just needed to stop begging for approval and start living as the standard you are. The most valuable people don't wait to be chosen. They know they are the natural choice. And when you understand this, the world understands it too. You walk differently, speak differently, live differently, because your energy no longer needs permission to impose itself. Your presence is your signature, and your evolution is your commitment to what you truly deserve.